What's up guys, it's James here, and in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about how profitable Airbnbs really are. And to do that, I'm actually gonna show a 6.5 month overview of where our property is at. We've been operating our property that I've talked about a bunch on this channel for about 6 months now as an Airbnb. And it's a property that we bought for $520,000 in the middle of 2020. We did some renovation work to it. We got it up and listed as an Airbnb. So I'm gonna go through that, and I'm gonna show a full behind the scenes update on exactly what the financials look like. I'm gonna break down the income and also all of our expenses on the property so you can see exactly how profitable Airbnb investing really is. Now, before we jump into that and jump over to the computer here, I just want to remind you, we've got a free training linked in the description down below. So if you are interested in building massive cash flow and long-term wealth from short-term rental investing, you want to invest in Airbnbs and vacation homes, then I highly recommend you check that training out. It's completely free. We're going to also give you access to our projection tool that we use for running analysis on properties. We're going to walk you through all that. So I highly recommend checking it out. It's completely free and it's going to provide a lot of value. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. So this first spreadsheet here, I'm going to go over in more detail here. This is our monthly statement spreadsheet. So this is just a Google Sheet here that we use for tracking all of our income and all of our expenses. Now, here is the actual performance on Airbnb so that you can see and actually see verified the amount of money we have coming in. So I'll refresh the page here just because I know some people are skeptical and there are a lot of people that lie on the internet. So I'm obviously cognizant of that. So this is how our property is doing in 2021. You can see we listed halfway through the month of June. And we brought in $111,000 just over in the second half of 2021 there. With obviously the lion's share of the income coming in July and August. That is the high season for this property, for the area that it's in. We did remarkably well throughout what we call the low season here. Frankly, a lot better than I was anticipating. And we're doing very well in 2022 as well. So right now, the time of filming this video, it is February 4th. So we're just entering into February here. We've got, a bunch of bookings for February. We've got $9,000 booked for February. And then we're booked out into March and April a little bit. And then high season, we have our rates set astronomically high. So if you can believe it, July, I want to say we've only got maybe about 5 to 7 days booked. And we're already at $10,000 in bookings for July. So that is an indication that we have a lot of bookings, but not an indication that our calendar is very full. Our calendar is still quite empty for July. And then this is just our hosting dashboard that we use. We use a tool called Hostaway to see. Now, if you want to see the actual listing as well, let me jump to that just so you can see quickly what this listing is. Let's do a quick preview of it. This is a property, like I mentioned, we bought for $520,000. We spent about $80,000 additional getting it set up, and that went into renovating and then also furnishing the property and buying different amenities, like for example, this hot tub that you see. And so this is the property here. It is a 6-bedroom property, a couple hours north of Toronto, sleeps up to 10 guests. And it's got 2 full bathrooms. It's right near the water, but not actually on the water. And so that's our property. So now let's jump into the financials. So this again is a property that you want to remember, we bought it for $520,000. So if you are doing a typical 20% down, that means you're putting about $100,000 down. Plus we spent $80,000 on renovating and furnishing the property. Now, a big chunk of that money we're going to get back out when we refinance the property, because when doing the renovation, we bumped the property's value up to about $640,000 is what we had it appraised at, $642 I think it was. So we would be able to pull out some money through a refinance. Now, a lot of the time you can actually structure deals for 10% down, in some cases even 5% down. We were able to do this deal with just 5% down. So that meant that we were actually only putting in about $35,000 into the down payment. In addition to that $80,000, meaning that we're in it for about $115,000. So we should make back most of that initial investment just in cash flow alone over the first year, not accounting for the fact that we've also added, what does that work out to? I guess about $60,000 in equity as well. Let's jump into the numbers here in a bit more detail. So this is basically our summary tab, and this is the summary for the entire property. So Every single month is basically broken down into month-by-month tabs. I highly recommend if you're going to be investing in short-term rental properties that you have an actual spreadsheet or a tool built out like this so that you can keep track of everything, because it's super important. There's a lot of different income that's coming in for the property, and there's a lot of different expenses that are going out for the property. So you want to make sure that you're tracking everything properly to make sure that you're not just, bringing money in, but then spending a whole bunch of money on your expenses every single month. Yeah, let's break it down. So we've got basically gross booking revenue, and this is just from June when we launched the property until the end of December. So we haven't actually done our reconciliation for the month of January yet. So this is just a 6-month period basically. So we've got our gross booking revenue for Airbnb, 6.5 month, I should say, which means that the monthly average, you can see it's dividing by 6.5. So we're averaging $15,000 a month from Airbnb. We've brought in a little bit from other platforms. And then we've also got cleaning fee revenue from Airbnb. So that brings our actual monthly average of revenue to $17,500. Our total in those 6.5 months was $114,541. So a big chunk of change, right? That's over $100,000 in just 6.5 months. So that's a pretty nice chunk of change. But obviously not all that actually goes into the bottom line and ends up as profit. So we've got additional expenses, which I've detailed here. So this is going to be things like maintenance, yard. So yard, like we've got a lawn that we need to mow. We've got quite a bit of yard that needs just kind of maintaining. And then the winter time, we've got snow removal we need done. So that's yard. You've got supplies. So that's going to be this number is actually somewhat inflated because we tend to buy our supplies for a 6 months worth of inventory at a time, and we just bought another 6 months in December. So we've got all of our supplies, that amount, I think it was about $1,500 we spent on supplies. That's going to get averaged out over 6 months, but it's technically all logged in here. So this is a little bit inflated, but you've got your supplies, and that's things like toilet paper, dish soap, hand soap, paper towel, all of the necessities that you have in a short-term rental property. And then you've also got add-ons. So that's basically going to be anything that you're adding on amenities wise. And for us, because it's the first year operating this property, we're constantly adding new amenities to help improve the property. So for example, we've added on snowshoes in the winter time. We've added on just different amenities. We've got a crib. We've got a playpen for babies if people want to bring their babies. We've got just different stuff. So we're spending a couple $100 a month just kind of adding different amenities on. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen every single month for all of eternity, but for the first year, we're constantly getting feedback from our guests. We're constantly adding things. We're going into a new season. So when winter time hit, we went, oh, okay, let's add some snowshoes there. I think that would be interesting. That would be helpful for guests. So that's what that represents there. Cleaning expenses, obviously this is a big one. That's where you're paying your clean team to go there and do turnovers at the property, which for us in the high season, it's about 1.5 times a week. Like they're going once to twice a week, whereas they're going pretty consistently about 2 times a week in the low season, just because we tend to get shorter lengths of stay in the low season. And then our carrying costs. So that's going to be basically our mortgage, our taxes, our insurance on the property, which specifically covers the property for short-term rental, our utilities, so our water, our propane, our electric, that kind of thing, our internet expense. And so basically what this works out to is about $1,400 a month in additional expenses between maintenance, repairs, yard supplies, add-on software, accounting, legal, all that stuff. And then, yeah, there's a few softwares we use as well. Those only equate to about $100 a month, so nothing substantial there. Our cleaning fees are about $3,000 a month. By the time we pay our cleaners, we pay them $450 to go by and clean the property, because it is rural, so there's a bit of a drive out there, and it's a pretty large property. Obviously, there's a lot of beds, there's a lot of linens to be done. And, for us, like I've always been of the opinion that cleaning is really the backbone of the operation. It's what ensures that the property is going to be up to par for guests. So I really want to make sure that our cleaners are getting fairly compensated for their time. I know people are going to be in the comments saying, hey, you could do this for $15 an hour. Paying $450 for a turnover is outrageous. I know I've been in the space for long enough to know that it is a premium we are paying for that cleaning, but my cleaners that I work with that we have for this property are absolutely phenomenal. I want them to succeed. I want them to love doing business with us. I want it to be a big win for them, and they are absolutely phenomenal. We consistently get ranked very highly for our cleaning. That's one of the things that's allowed us to achieve Superhost status, which just helps improve the performance of the listing. They're constantly going above and beyond to make sure the place is absolutely pristine for guests. They're super reliable. I almost never have to communicate with them. They're super on the ball. So because of all that, I don't mind paying that premium for the cleaning because they just do really, really fantastic work. And ultimately, I'm paying a lot for peace of mind for myself because I know that I don't have to stress and I don't have to worry about it. So it's more than worth it for me. Certainly, if you were starting out and you wanted to, you could do the cleaning and make $3,000 a month doing the cleaning yourself. And that's honestly a pretty decent gig. Like $3,000 a month, $3,000 a month is not an inconsequential amount of money by any means. So if that's something that you want to do when you're first starting out, you certainly can, and you can earn some great additional income doing it that way. But for me, it's just, I prefer to have the cleaning outsourced and I don't mind paying that additional, especially because it is such a variable cost. We wouldn't obviously be paying that. It's not like we pay that regardless if the property gets booked or not. We only pay that because the property is doing so exceptionally well and getting booked up so consistently. So that's your cleaning fees. And then carrying costs. So for this property, the mortgage is about $2,000 a month. And then we've got our taxes. We've got our insurance, which is $3,000 for the year. We've got our utilities, which especially throughout the winter months there, it starts to be a little bit higher with the heating expense. We've got our internet. So that basically works out to just shy of $3,700 a month once everything is all said and done. And then baked into this as well, there's just basically just all of our carrying costs for the property, our standard carrying costs. And so then we've got basically total operating costs and our total operating cash flow, which basically works out to, in those first 6 months, our operating cash flow was $61,000. Which worked out to, on a monthly basis, this one's divided improperly. So this would actually be divided by 6.5. So just shy of $10,000 a month in operating cash flow. That's pretty awesome, right? For one single property that we bought for $520,000, that is pretty insane. 6 figures in income as an annual trend. And now the last category you've got here is capital expenses. So those are going to be things like just any capital improvements that we're doing to the property, replacing large ticket items. Like for example, we added an air conditioning unit because it had central heating but didn't have central air conditioning. So those things are things that are going to actually help improve the value of the home. They're capital expenses. They're not your maintenance expense for something that broke that you just need to fix. It's a larger capital expense. You have to replace a roof, it would go in here. You remodel a bathroom, it would go in here, that sort of thing. So we've been reinvesting into the property to the tune of $13,000 over the last 6 months. And so that basically works out to $2,000 a month that we're reinvesting back into improving the property. And so our actual net cash flow, like the actual additional money that we have in our pocket at the end of these 6 months, is $48,000, just over that. So that basically breaks down to monthly just shy of $7,500. So again, that's pretty fantastic. That's a really nice paying, by North American standards, even that is a high paying income, a high paying job. That puts you in the upper percentile, and that's just one property. So I hope you found this really interesting. I hope you found this helpful. If you are looking to invest in a short-term rental property, these are, how the numbers work out on ours. Frankly, I think there's a still area for improvement. I think our income has been quite high. We've done a great job of maximizing our income, but to be very candid and very kind of forthcoming in the video here and just kind of show behind the curtain of everything, I do think we can pull our expenses down quite a bit. So that's one of the things that I was just running through before doing this video and looking at. And I think there's different areas where we can help to decrease our expenses. And then one of the other things that's really nice is that as we're scaling and we're adding more properties to the portfolio, we do get economies of scale to a certain effect because our maintenance person can basically go buy different properties at the same time and kind of just be more efficient with how he's going around to these properties. With them being more rural, there's a lot of travel time that we're kind of paying for. So being able to minimize that, we'll be able to shave off some of those additional expenses. The other thing is we can buy supplies more in bulk and share them between properties. So that creates a bit of efficiency there. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of room for improvement to the tune of a few $100s a month in terms of the additional expenses. But overall, I still think we're doing very, very well. I'm very happy with the way this property is performing. So again, if you are interested in learning how you can pick up a property like this one and be able to do it in the best possible way, in the best possible area that's going to profit really strong like this one, and then either manage it yourself or hire a professional manager so that it can be completely passive. Again, all that is linked in the training down below. We walk through this step-by-step of exactly how to do this, some pitfalls to look out for. We give you a free resource, which is basically the analysis spreadsheet that I use to analyze properties for the purpose of short-term rental. So again, if you're interested in that, if you want to get your hands on that training, there's a link right down in the description below. I highly recommend that you check that training out. Let me know if you have any thoughts, any questions, anything you'd like to know more about. Just let me know in the comment section down below. If you're not already, then make sure that you like this video and that you subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with our videos, which we post twice every single week. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.